So as you can see, I've painted my grapes. I will probably still go over a few more times. There's a little bit of orange in there, so I have to fill in. But I wanted to go ahead and get this out to you. The best thing for spackling the little freckle marks on the pear, as you can see on my paper, I could paint each one of those in with a small brush, dot, 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 if I wanted to. Here's another way you can do that. Take a thin piece of paper, and if you've already printed out or traced, you can put this around and you can trace it, or you can put it on your computer screen where it lights up so you can see it. And so you can see I've traced around my pear. The best thing would be to do is now cut it with an X-Acto knife. However, I don't have an X-Acto knife with me right now, so I'm just cutting a slip into my pear, and I am cutting around that line, making sure that it's exact. Okay, so then when I put this on my pear, you can see that I do not have any of the background showing. So when I do my spatter effect, it's just going on the pear. However, it's very important to practice this before you do it on your painting. So I'm going to get a blank sheet of paper, and I'm going to put my stencil on that sheet of paper. I'm going to grab an old toothbrush. I'm going to grab an old toothbrush, and I'm going to get my paint all ready to go on my paper plate here. I'm going to kind of water it down a little bit, and I'm grabbing some paint with my toothbrush, and then I'm just going to flick it, and you can see, zoom in a little bit so you can see here, that I have these small little spatters. That's exactly what I want to put on my pear. So I'm okay with that. So I'm going to go to my watercolor paper. I'm going to lay that down to make sure that the background is completely covered. And I'm mixing that paint again because it looked like I didn't quite have enough of it. So I'm going to put a little bit more on this time, because your toothbrush soaks up a lot of that paint. There I go. I'm grabbing that paint with my toothbrush and making sure that my background doesn't move. I'm spattering my pear until you feel like you have it where you want it. And then I have kind of a natural effect of that freckling on my pear. Okay, last thing to show you is cast shadows. So, of course, I have painted my tabletop a Payne's gray color. You can put an accent color in it if you would like to. I'm going to keep mine a simple Payne's gray. I'm going to start off pretty light. I'm looking at my still life on my photograph, and I want to make sure that I mimic the shadows that I saw when I was taking that photo. So you can see here in my photograph, look where my cast shadow is, and look at the different variations of value. It's really dark up underneath, it kind of gets light as it goes towards the center, and then it darkens back up. It's not a hard line, so I'm going to make sure that I have my paper towel ready to do some blotting. So I'm going to start with a very light value. I don't want to make it too dark to start with. And I'm just going to put that in like so. And that's a pretty hard edge. You don't want it to be a hard edge, like I said before. So I am going to, again, grab my paper towel. And I am just going to blot those edges so it's not such a hard line. Another thing that you can do is take your brush and just kind of scrub on that edge if you think it's too hard. Okay, and this nice cast shadow there. Now, notice that it was really dark up underneath my object. So I'm going to come back with a little bit more intense color right up underneath that pear. Whoa, that's a little much. And I'm just going to put a little line. Probably going to have to wait a little bit until that dries, because as you can see, it ran too much. So I'm going to wait a little bit longer. I'm going to blot again so it's not too dark. And I'm going to wait a little bit longer till that dries and show you how to put that edge underneath of your fruit. So while we're waiting, let's go ahead and paint some light cast shadows where our grapes are. So I have one here. I have one under the stem. Again, look at your photograph. Your photograph is going to tell you exactly where these shadows should be. Don't make them up because it might look kind of funny if you don't have them exactly distributed correctly, because it looks like it'll be looking like that your lighting is off. I have one there. I have even a lighter one over here, so I'm going to water that down since it looks like it's not touching the ground. So it's going to be a little bit of a lighter shadow. And over here is a little darker because it does touch the ground. And then I have some really light ones up on the top here. Looks like they're further away from my tabletop. Okay, I'm going to push in some darks. And over here there's a little bit of shadow, as you can see, between my pear and my grapes on that side. It's pretty dark. And then I have a few more. And you might have to go back and darken these again, okay? Because you know that watercolor dries a little bit lighter. So I think this might be a little bit dry enough. I'm going to take just a little bit of my Payne's Gray and just a very small brush right underneath of that pear. Now that's a hard line, too hard of a line. So now I'm just going to pull that down just a smidgen. And that allows that pear to look like it's popping right off the page. Okay, still have a few more things that I will come back and perfect. But that is the end of my demonstration for you. There's three sections to this video. The first section again was the base layers, the backgrounds, and putting in layers. Second one was perfecting and making it dark. And the third video, of course, was the spackling effect and the cast shadows. I hope this helped you, and I look forward to seeing you soon.